After spending months relentlessly attacking his mental fitness, MAGA Republicans are so concerned that President Biden will defeat convicted felon Donald Trump in their upcoming debate that they're now partnering with their allies at the Fox Propaganda Network to spread a new and baseless conspiracy theory that Biden will be on performance-enhancing drugs ahead of the debate. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and the alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to look at in this video, truly deranged stuff from both the MAGA Republican Party and the Fox Propaganda Network. But here's the story in a nutshell. So again, as you know, because we've been discussing it on this channel, there are persistent questions around both of the leading presidential candidates' mental fitness. And also, as we've demonstrated, there is an unfair, irrational, indefensible asymmetry which targets President Biden and tends to grade Donald Trump on a curve. But now we're starting to see a full reversal, a panicked reversal from MAGA as the debate on Thursday approaches. So Newsweek talks about this. MAGA panics before Donald Trump's first debate with Biden. A number of Donald Trump supporters are pushing unfounded claims and accusations of bias ahead of the first live 2024 presidential debate between Trump and President Biden, as MAGA is accused of going into panic mode. And indeed they are. Trump and Biden are set to face off against each other on June 27th, Thursday, at the debate hosted by CNN. Okay. Now, prior to that event, a number of MAGA supporters have been accused of panicking and being intimidated by the prospect of Biden outperforming Trump on Thursday, as well as pushing unfounded allegations to lay the groundwork to explain why the president might do well. These include suggesting that Biden will be on, quote, performance-enhancing drugs, end quote, to help his energy during the 90-minute debate, and allegations that CNN might have leaked questions to the president's team. These claims arrive as Trump himself changes tune on how well Biden may perform at the debate. Having previously called Biden, quote, the worst debater I've ever faced, end quote, Trump recently told the All In podcast that President Biden will be a, quote, worthy debater, and he does not want to, quote, underestimate Biden on Thursday. Again, so that was Trump, who typically lacks self-awareness and the ability to, rein in his own bloviation. He's now panicking like, oh my God, Biden actually might exceed these ridiculously low expectations that I've set for him. So we need to reverse course. And that's why you've seen a parade of MAGA Republican elected officials. This isn't just Charlie Kirk and, MAGA influencers. These are people who wield state power, who were elected to high office, going on the Fox Propaganda Network to spread this baseless, unfounded, ridiculous conspiracy theory. So we're going to play some of these clips and unpack them together.
That Ronnie Jackson says Biden will have been at Camp David for a full week before the debate, and that they're probably experimenting with getting doses right, giving him medicine ahead of the debate. Is that what you think?
Yeah, I think that, any patient that truly, or, elderly individual or someone that has dementia, they can find some moments of clarity, right? They can find moments throughout the day that they have energy. And I think that Trump's team should not underestimate Joe Biden and his team's ability to whether they're going to jack him up on Mountain Dew or whatever it is. The state.
So again, this is Republican Congressman Eric Burlinson peddling this ridiculous conspiracy theory and also accusing the president of having dementia and being elderly. Now, he's objectively elderly, but so is Trump, right? Trump is 78 years old. They would have gone to high school together, Biden and Trump, if they'd operated in the same zip code or if they'd lived in the same zip code in their youth. And Trump is also the subject of multiple gaffes and mispronunciations and weird random moments that we've talked about. But you notice the asymmetry. Well, it continues. This is Marionette Miller Meeks, another Republican congresswoman, also on the Fox Propaganda Network. We're going to play a couple of clips from her, again, where she peddles this conspiracy theory.
Make of this, the media, including at CNN, is now pushing back on lawmakers demanding that President Biden take a drug test before and after the CNN presidential debate to see if Biden is taking any stimulants or drugs. But it looks like this Biden White House congresswoman has so bullied and threatened the media with cutting them off. The media is effectively saying, cover this up, deny and denounce this, keep Americans in the dark about Biden's true condition. This sounds like Biden's version of don't ask, don't tell. We know everything he does is on a teleprompter or scripted. Where do you come down, doctor, on this?
Well, first and foremost, let me say as an ophthalmologist, I deal mostly with elderly patients. Number two, my mother had Alzheimer's and I took care of her for the majority of the last few years of her life. And then number three, I've been to the White House several times for bill signings, and all of us have seen the degradation of President Biden's cognitive facilities. This is
Make of this, the media.
So just so much packed into this clip. Okay. So she's an ophthalmologist, right? The Fox News host uses her title doctor, which she's earned, by the way. It's a valid use of the title, but the insinuation is that she's some sort of physician or neurologist, somebody who has expertise with respect to dementia or mental disorders or cognitive decline. She's an ophthalmologist. That's not her area of expertise. Also note that the host in question is ridiculing President Biden for, again, misspeaking or relying on teleprompters and scripts. And she constantly misspeaks throughout this introduction, even though she herself is reading off a teleprompter and a script, right? And presumably she wouldn't regard herself as mentally unfit for office. But again, this is the absurd standard that they're trying to impose on President Biden. And they can't make up their minds if they want to enforce it or if they want to back away from it, given the constant gaps that they themselves make and that Trump makes. But this is, again, just a dirty pool by Republican elected officials trying to give credence to this idea. Another clip with Marionette Miller Meeks.
So we anticipate that for this first debate, he will be on something. And the response of the press has been to cover it up. And so we've seen that with Karine Jean-Pierre saying these are deep fakes. This is, misinformation. The videos we have seen of President Biden's cognitive decline are not false. They are not, manufactured. They are not deep fakes. The president has significant cognitive decline, as we've all seen. And so
I suggest that Miller Meeks has, in fact, cognitive decline because Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, didn't call them deep fakes. She called them cheap fakes, right? The idea being that it's not artificial intelligence, not AI generated, that it's real footage that has been selectively edited, right? Either you take out the beginning or the end or both, or you literally crop the field of vision in order to remove critical context. So again, the one of President Biden at Normandy walking off to give thumbs up to paratroopers who landed via parachute. Okay, they took that part out and just showed Biden, literally just himself walking off, seemingly doing nothing, when in fact he was addressing people behind the other elected officials. And by the way, if you actually maximize the field of view, not only was he engaging with them, but other heads of state also turned when the president walked off to also wave and acknowledge the people that President Biden was talking to. So again, just rampant dishonesty from the MAGA Republican Party. But here's where we get to the really good stuff. This is Dr. Ronnie Johnson, or Ronnie Jackson, as he was named at birth. Right now, of course, under MAGA law, when Donald Trump mispronounces your name or misstates your name, you have to change your identity to comport with the God King / cult leader. But yeah, this guy is a former Navy officer. He was President Obama's physician and also Donald Trump's when Trump was president. And he has since just gone truly off the deep end. And he is the source of much of these, again, conspiracy theories and unfounded allegations and accusations about President Biden. So we're going to play several clips from him and again, unpack it together.
Yeah, Maria, I don't need to tell you, I don't need to tell your viewers or anybody else in this country right now that we have a serious problem here. Everyone knows it now. You don't have to be a physician. You certainly don't have to be a physician to the president to see what's going on right now. So I have sent 5 letters previously asking for President Biden to submit to a cognitive test, very similar to the one that President Trump got while he was president. And all 5 of those letters have gone completely ignored. So tomorrow I'm sending a letter to President Biden, to his physician, Dr. O'Connor, and I'm CCing his entire cabinet. And it's embarrassing that I have to do this, and it's really embarrassing as a former White House physician to have to do something like this, but we don't have any choice based on what's going on. But I'm going to be demanding on behalf of many millions of concerned Americans right now that he submit to a drug test before and after this debate, specifically looking for performance-enhancing drugs.
Note that about drugs and reckless use of drugs and things like that. Again, I love it. I'm demanding, and again, this is where so far the Biden White House has not taken any of this seriously, nor should they. I think that they should effectively give Ronnie Johnson the finger in disregard, like you're not in a position to dictate anything. President Biden is infinitely more powerful and important than you, Ronnie Johnson, and you should be treated like the loser you are and just ignored to the best of the White House's ability. But another clip from Ronnie Jackson.
I feel like this is probably what's going on over this week at Camp David. He's going to be at Camp David for a full week before the debate. Part of that is probably experimenting with, just getting the doses just right, because, they have to treat his cognition. They have to give him something to help him think straighter. They have to give him something to wake him up, for his alertness. And then, he's been agitated. We see that all the time, and that's a common symptom or sign of this cognitive disorder that he seems to be suffering from. And so they're probably going to give him something to take the edge off that as well. They didn't get it right just last time at the State of the Union. He came out, he was obviously much more alert, but he was a yelling, angry old man, and he still didn't make a lot of sense. So I think they've got an uphill battle here, but I think that they're going to have to do something to try to wake him up and make him perform a little better during the debate.
Ronnie Jackson, of course, also embodying the trope of the angry old man. I mean, the guy's unhinged in every conversation that he has. As a matter of fact, he was investigated, I think it was in 2018, by the Trump-era Department of Justice for misconduct. White House Medical Unit gave controlled substances to ineligible staff. Watchdog finds a Pentagon watchdog found a slew of problems with the White House Medical Unit that took place during the Trump administration, including that the unit provided controlled substances to ineligible White House staff. A new report from the Department of Defense Inspector General found the military-run White House Medical Unit provided a wide range of healthcare and pharmaceutical services to ineligible staff in violation of federal law and policy, with senior leaders in the unit directing practices out of line with the Pentagon's guidance. The report also found that White House military medical unit providers said they weren't empowered to deny requests from senior unit leaders. The investigation involved interviewing military officers who worked in the White House between 2009 and 2018. The report found controlled substances, including opioids and sleeping medications, were, quote, not properly accounted for, end quote, in violation of federal regulation. It just goes on and on and on like this. And as a matter of fact, Ronnie Jackson here was investigated as a target of this. The same year, in 2018, the Pentagon Inspector General initiated an investigation into GOP Republican Ronnie Jackson of Texas, who at the time was the White House physician to Donald Trump and had been nominated by Trump to be the Veterans Affairs Secretary. Jackson, a Navy Rear Admiral who ran the White House Medical Unit for several years until 2014, was accused of creating a hostile work environment. In 2021, the Pentagon watchdog released a scathing report that found Jackson used Ambien during long official flights, and that witnesses raised concerns about Jackson's potential inability to provide proper medical care. The report concluded that Jackson's overall conduct towards subordinates was disparaged, belittled, bullied, and humiliated them. Okay? So this guy doesn't seem to be a particular exemplar of medical ethics and medical responsibility. Typically, every accusation is a confession with the GOP, to say nothing of the fact that apparently he was abusing Ambien, right? To the extent that they didn't think he could provide proper medical care, which was his duty officially at the time. So this is where we are. Republicans, again, have spent months attacking President Biden's mental fitness, realize that they've yet again set themselves up for failure by basically creating an expectation so low that he could sleepwalk through it, right? And now they're trying to reverse course. I don't know how the debate will turn out. It's entirely possible that the president will not do well. Incumbent presidents typically don't do well in their first debates. President Obama, one of the finest debaters and rhetoricians in modern American history, infamously tanked his first debate with Republican then Governor Mitt Romney. That may be the case for President Biden. On the other hand, he's debate prepping, and he is infinitely better informed on the substance of American domestic policy and foreign policy than Donald Trump. And Trump, of course, again, being a 78-year-old man who is also an idiot, in addition to somebody who, by the Republicans' own standards, suffers from the same sort of quote-unquote cognitive decline as Biden. So, yeah, he may tank it as well. I don't know what the outcome will be. But I do think it says something that Republicans, including Trump, and these Republican-elected representatives are so nervous that they're having to do this Fox propaganda media tour to try to alter the narrative around it. Food for thought. Let me know what you think in the comments.